Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the Madison Township Board of Trustees special meeting, July 5th, 2017, at 6 p.m. Call the roll, please.
Trustee Gildan?
Here.
Trustee Piney?
Here.
Trustee Kirschman?
Here.
Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the purpose of the meeting, Mrs. Brooks, please.
The special meeting has been called, has been called and proper notification has been made for the purpose of discussion/possible action for considering Station 183 updates, including subcontractor bid review.
Okay. Discussion? And you want to get into that now, I mean, being first on that?
Right, I would start off with any specific questions that you have from the new information.
All right.
Okay, John?
The design fees of $271,000 are reflected at roughly $291,000 on the GMP, but the contract states that I believe that the design fees are not part of the GMP, so why is there a discrepancy of $20,000 in design fees, and how could that possibly be incorporated in the GMP pricing, since it's a separate contract?
That's for Brad, correct?
Anybody want to answer it, it's fine.
And John, I'm not exactly sure how to, we've got a separate pre-construction contract that has paid for those design fees, that covers those design fees. When we were capturing this, we were capturing the entire all that number from the start of this thing to finish. I don't know if it's I looked at it as being a change to that original contract. We can pull that 290 out. It's already been approved. It was under a separate design contract.
Okay,
There is a piece of that that was not under that design contract. It was the construction administration.
So when you say design fees, like we're looking at the top of page 2 of 16, correct?
Top of page 2.
It says estimate $270,900, and you're saying the cost is $291,060.
$20,000 was a change from back in, I think it was March. You remember when it was written, Russell? It was a change that was written for dropping the ceiling height, reworking all the mechanicals, trying to get this thing back down. That's where that $20,000 came from.
Okay, but what about the other 20? Oh, I see what you're saying.
That is the 20.
40,000, I got you, yeah. Oh, you're saying the 20,000 came from the changing in the, okay, roof design. But I thought,
It went well beyond that. It went well beyond the roof design that was contained within that change order, because we went around, Eric's not here tonight to appreciate it, but Eric and I went around over that. And Mark as well, so.
You kick back the roofing piece, the roof lowering piece.
Yeah.
Took that back off of that change.
Right.
And the design team made that cost.
say that again, Brad?
There was additional things in there that the design team was requesting to be part of that change order. That Chief Mark Shoemaker with KZF kicked back, that we took off of that change and the design team did not get compensated for it.
Okay. So we have exceeded our design fee budget with change orders by 20K, is that correct, roughly?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's already been spent?
Thank you, Susan. Can't hear out here.
And those fees are not, the design fees are not supposed to be part of the GMP price, correct? According to the contract?
They're two separate contracts.
Right, okay. not seen the design fees as part of this GMP? It appears that they're part of the number. Am I reading it wrong?
It appears that way.
But they're not supposed to be. It's a separate contract. The contract states that they're separate contracts, so it shouldn't be. So the 3.83594 number is not an accurate GMP number.
If you take that out, it looks like it's 3547527.
Right. And so what you have to recognize is there's two contracts. There's the original contract for the design piece for the work that's been done to date. That's the 291 that Mr. Kirshner is asking about. Then you have the separate GMP number, and so what your construction contract, if you will, the 535 document would be for that 3838594 less that 291 number.
Which you just did the math on that, right, Victor?
Yeah.
What was it?
3547527.
3547?
So that should be the GMP.
Right.
One more time.
Yeah.
3547527.
Thank you. Okay, so,
I think we're getting stuck on hold on a second.
If it's two separate contracts, one will be for 291 and change, and the other one will be for 3.5 and change. But we don't want to double pay the 291.
No, it's not going to be that. That's correct. The second contract's going to be for the number that you just generated.
Right.
That 3.5.
The GMP would need to be
So,
modified.
yes. And
so, was our previous GMP then? Because we're right back at our original number from February, but prices
The
are...
number is always carried. So what I was asked to do when we put this thing together was carry a complete price. And we did not separate the two different contracts. It was a complete price of what was Turner's contractual obligation. We had the two combined. Even though it was two separate contracts, we had the two design and construction combined as one to get a complete number. So we've been carrying that complete number all the way through. So it'll be written as two separate contracts. What Sylvia had drafted up was two separate contracts, had the design piece backed out, and that's what I was trying to find in here.
Do you have the original
contract was.
yeah, the 291 is covered in that original document that we signed. I don't know if you got that signed with you, that one with you, Brad. But the 530 document, the 530 document, and then the 535, which is basically the addendum for that contract, the 530 will reflect the number that Mr. Piney just came up with here, the 3547, because I want to say it's the 520 document that we signed for the design part covers and picks up that 291.
Correct.
And when you look at the 530 and you go through what's allowable and what is contained in the contract in terms of what's to be paid for cost of work and costs not included, nowhere in any of the cost of work does it include or refer to design.
No, it actually states in there that it's not, the design fee is not part of the...
Because that was part of the 520 contract, but in terms of managing the overall price so that you could see it, it's always been carried as part of the quote-unquote GMP. So that we're always looking at a total cost of project.
So then, the one line item that has cost us severely on this is the plumbing, correct? So, and have you lost all hope of finding a better price on plumbing, or?
We have extended all efforts to find a better price on plumbing, yes, sir. We have reached out to Cole Mechanical, I reached out to him, John, I saw your response back, and waiting to hear back from me. I talked to him once, we sent him over the qualification information, we sent him over the bid documents, we haven't heard anything back from him. All the other contractors that we reached out to, you should talk to anybody today, Russell? Hey, Zach, Russell, did you guys talk about Cole today, Larry?
I didn't get an answer.
So the other contractors we reached out to, Seal came in, he did provide us the number for asphalt paving, he came in high. Spencer did not want to bid it, he was busy, there were a couple other ones. I sent you back a response on the list of the ones that you sent back. But the reason...
Well, we did receive 2 more bids, they both came in higher.
Both came in higher?
Yeah. We have 4 total plumber bids.
Yeah. Only a little bit.
I think one of the issues is their replumbing Grant Hospital.
What was that, Chief?
I said one of our issues may be their replumbing Grant Hospital. So one of the guys told me that. I was not aware of it, so. Yeah, that can't be a small job to replumb a hospital.
So the trustees let this contract, we are giving up any hope of finding other alternatives on plumbing, finding any other better bids on plumbing. We're just signing off on that amount, and that's the end of it? Is that pretty much it? Does it do any good to try to find other contractors in our area, or once we let this, it's done?
Well, I would think that this would continue forward as design-build, which is what it is, and if for some reason a better price showed up that came in under the GMP, again, under the contracts, we pay for whatever the actual cost was, not to exceed the guaranteed maximum price. So if one of the other plumbing contractors had a job or something, fell through and came back and said, hey, I can do it for this, and there was a savings there, the savings would come through to us, is my understanding of the process.
That's the way the contract reached.
And that's what
But at this, with this contract, we are approving a subcontractor at an amount. So at that point, we're
at a
putting...
maximum amount. If another sub comes in, or even that subcontractor comes in under, the savings gets passed back to us contractual.
But at some point, we're authorizing work to, this is a list of subcontractors, so we are approving a list of subcontractors.
In all reality, if you approve that contract today and that contractor, one of the first items that starts is underground plumbing. One of the first contracts that starts is underground plumbing. Okay. So we will have to get the underground slab, all the PVC work and stuff done below the site work to get the concrete down. So one of the first contracts we will let is that plumbing contractor.
I think you're, correct me if I'm wrong, the point is, once we do this, there's no incentive for a lower bid.
There's no opportunity because we've just approved that subcontractor. And it's not like we can find a lower bid. And, there's a lot here, as I mentioned, our 5-year plan said we were going to have a substation, so this is a big, it's like, I feel like we sent my kid out for a couple gallons of milk and he came back with a dairy farm. But beyond that, of the buildings that we have here, this will be the least durable building in recent history that the trustees have built. Because we've got hardy backer, we have flat membrane roofs, so we got 15, 20, 25-year products versus our other stations, which are 40-year products, which that stands true because we're looking at them and they're about that age. So, and then Victor, you've mentioned storage. Well, you heard what the chief said about storage last month and what we could have storage built for. It wouldn't be 350 square foot. So a couple months ago, I said, let's put this out to bid just so we can verify our pricing. If we'd have done that, that'd be what, a week from today, 2 weeks from today now. So I think there's a whole lot we should be looking at and should have done differently here to get the value to the taxpayers. And this is just pretty disappointing as far as the process goes. I think we could have done a lot, we should do a lot better for our taxpayers and what we're delivering to them than what we are. Okay.
We did what was put forward in the plan, what was put forward at the time of the levy, and nothing has changed from that point. And when we got this project to the design development phase where the GMPs came back with the original GMP, we were essentially on schedule, on budget. And, you know, the project was where the project was and what we had said throughout the entire time. So, well, we got caught with a market that heated up. You know, I think we knew that was coming. I know that Brad had verbalized that. We had verbalized that. And so, you know, nothing has changed from our perspective in terms of what was put forward, what was intended in the 5-year plan, and we had those conversations with the board, and we put this information forward back in 2014, 2015, when we had those preliminary designs that, I can't think of Gergen's firm, came in and did for us. And in reality, this building is smaller than that building by 1,000 and some square feet.
Well, if our goal was 3.6 million, we never, ever were on budget. Never. We had a 3.55 million GMP, and we had design fees beyond that, and we had owner furnished.
3.55 included the design fees, as Brad said a minute ago. Those had always been wrapped in.
It included their design fees. It didn't include the architectural design fees. It didn't include owner furnished, so we were never on a $3.6 million budget. Never were. And we've had opportunities to get there many different ways, and we've passed on them. So, and again, you know, you can't argue that we're putting in hardy siding, which is less durable than steel. Everybody knows it. No one will argue that. You can't argue that we're putting in a flat membrane roofs, which is less durable. And that's just facts. And if you look at the windows in here, they're nice and simple. You look at this package, we got $100,000 in windows, we got $30,000 in mirrors. I know things have shifted. You can argue it with me all day long, but I know things have shifted. Things have shifted from practical to not so practical.
Victor, to answer your earlier question, the document 520, which was the preliminary agreement, has the $270,900 is what's in that agreement. So that would come off of this number for the additional GMP. There was a change order written to that got it to the $291,067. So that's the number that would need to come off for the new GMP.
That's what the 3.5 is the number.
The 3.5 is the number. That's what Sylvia was working toward.
What's your thoughts on Trustee Kirchner's comments here about durability and life of things that get put in?
I can't argue the durability of hardy plank versus the durability of a steel metal siding as far as long-term durability of what the two would be. We looked through a couple of different metal panels. A vertical metal siding that's basically a barn siding would have been closer within budget of what we were looking for. When we went through it, we were asked to give it more of a residential design, which is why we went to the horizontal lap. A metal panel and that horizontal lap, we were never gotten anywhere near the budget. We backed up and looked at the hardy plank. The hardy plank's biggest issue is not durability as far as breaking down, it's painting. It's maintenance that you have to do for paint and maintenance like that. It's not as brittle once it's up and installed of a product as what it's on the residential side it is. This is a little bit different in the commercial world. But long-term durability, I'd never argue with John, steel is going to be a better product, but you've got the vertical look of what that is. We weren't going to be able to accomplish the same look as what we were shooting for. The window
Can you speak
packages.
up a little bit more?
I'll try and get over back in front of the microphone, sorry. The window packages, I don't know that the storefront nice and simple windows versus what we have now of punch windows, you're not going to get a whole lot different pricing wise. There's more aluminum in this versus more of a residential grade window what we've got now. The standing seam metal roof that we have on most of the metal building is as durable, if not more, than what you've got on most of your buildings, but there are a couple of spots where we have flat rubber membrane roofing. Your issues there is going to be more of a 10-year maintenance, just check the seams, make sure that the seams are still adhered, and go up and do a little bit of maintenance, but it's not most buildings now are going to build a flat metal or a flat rubber roof. Most of your industrial, commercial buildings are going to that because of the cost of going to that versus the cost of doing standing seam everywhere is a huge difference. So the metal siding would be the one spot that I think that durability-wise, you've got a better product there, but the hardy's going to last you as long as you just maintain it and paint it.
So what would
it's
the
a
price
15-year.
what would the price difference have been, metal siding versus hardy?
You remember what that was? We did that.
They showed us that,
It wasn't 20, right.
but they didn't extend out the painting cost. It's pretty hard to do. We're going to paint it four times or more, 4 or 5 times over the course of the life of steel. As we've already seen, we haven't painted ours yet. And then you've got the maintenance of the membrane roof tying into the hardy. So when you go to do a full rebuild on those membrane roofs, you're probably ripping into your hardy to get the flashing replaced, et cetera.
The detail on that membrane roof doesn't touch the hardy, does it?
No, it's just that your two canopies. You've got one that wraps the front end and it's around, which is all your standing seam metal roof, the metal panel, and then just over your side.
So it's got a metal parapet cap that covers that.
Right,
So you don't have to
aluminum
mess with the
aluminum parapet guy, is that what you're talking about, or are we just talking about something else?
aluminum parapet cap that's over that piece of membrane roofing. You don't have to mess with the hardy, is all I was saying.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the membrane like over the entrance, et cetera. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so there aren't any locations where you would have that conflict of having to tear into the hardy to repair. All the access for any repair for the membrane would be on those canopies and wouldn't require tearing into part of that.
So Susan, let me introduce real quick, because you're taking notes. You met Russell last time.
I did.
Zach Lacey is also with Turner. Zach will be the field superintendent out on the job, and then you got Nick with Turner as well. The three of them will be the ones doing the project if it goes forward.
And you said something about these being more of a residential type window, the double hung, is that correct?
There are a couple of spots we have double hung, but they're a punch window.
I'm sorry?
When I say residential, they're a punch window that go in a solid opening versus a big storefront curtain.
Right. But versus what I'm looking at here, there's no durability comparison there either, correct? Because those windows right there, those fixed windows are how old? Or on our fire
The building was
station?
built in
Right, so
94.
you don't expect that out of a double hung, correct?
Well, the only spot we have double hung operable windows are just in that gym, so there were 3 windows that were operable. The rest of them I would say I would compare to what you have here. Durability wise.
Yeah, because I know in one of the meetings when we were talking about the windows, we basically sat there and said, yeah, just put those in. So,
There's one spot where we talked about operable.
there was one spot where we talked about having the operable version of those, and I know we've got a couple of operable windows like these in the stations. But there's just the one spot. that we were looking at.
Say again? That's not my writing, I don't know. Decker, is that a question that you're sending us? Is there a question about asphalt regarding Decker?
Was that from my email to them? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah. On our one, it's got a star beside it, Decker.
Confused about that.
Our copy.
Oh, yeah, that was just based off of the question that I'd asked, I think it was on Monday, about the cost difference when they originally quoted Decker's price and
Right.
asphalt services, and then when it came back that asphalt was going to be the same. And Brad answered that question, that the handicap signs were not included in there, and that's what raised asphalt's bid.
Yeah,
Got signs in there, the type bar mat that goes down underneath that system, you need to low bid or what we scoped about, I excluded that mat, which is a fairly expensive mat.
say that again?
So is it part of the specification for the asphalt? Is it a type bar like mat, I think that strengthens the asphalt? They had excluded that mat from the original price. And when we had asked them to quote it, they quoted an alternate to that type bar, which we couldn't verify whether it was a similar product or not. So that type bar is a fairly expensive product, so we knew Decker was complete, so we used Decker's number as a complete number, and if we can get them to quote the correct product, or we can investigate with the design team, if this alternate product is acceptable, we can maybe lower that price and go back to the original bidder, but for the purposes of the GMP, we wanted to make sure that we met the specifications, which Decker did.
So there's an opportunity there for an there's an opportunity on there for an alternate, you're saying?
Yes.
But you haven't verified it yet?
Continue to investigate.
And so, once we do this, is that opportunity still on the table, or does it go the way it is? Okay. And then also, on the concrete, there was some missing, what, the balusters, is that correct? Bollards.
So the bollards are filled with concrete, and the concrete guy has missed that.
And so, in the original GMP, a few months ago, what would have happened with these items, and why are they showing up now versus last go-round?
The original GMP 2 months ago, we would have had to eat them out of contingency, or we would have made the contractor, if it was clearly in the scope of work, made the contractor go back, and it would have been their responsibility because it was clearly in the scope of work. Over the course of going back for the past several months, back and forth with contractors, bringing them in, setting down a scope and them, reviewing things, we ask very specific, detailed questions, and that's when they have the opportunity, both good and bad,
Right.
to go back and adjust the numbers. Overall, the thing, it's about $60,000 down from where it was when we met a few weeks ago, but there are some adds that come back in.
Yeah, to answer your question, had we done this and signed the contracts and moved forward at the 3.5 price, that was our guaranteed number, and we'd have been going around and around over where some of it was coming from. But yeah, you're right, we probably wouldn't have been going around too much, because it is what it is, and you know, if they missed it, I don't know what to say, so. Again, contractually, anything that's a savings in the project, we get back. So, wherever those opportunities to come in under are at.
What was the number? Oh, I got it right here, 62.
What number is that?
Right here, the 62,000. There's a difference in the, going over the GMP. Come back 62, almost 62.
Difference between what and what?
The original,
when they went back to is what this meeting's for, come back, it's about $62,000 savings. On which I don't know, John.
So, when does the plumbing happen under this contract? She said first thing, but what does that mean?
Underground plumbing under this contract, John, if this thing happens, we're looking at July 13th. Starting submittal review. We'll be in the field July 27th.
One more time, you gonna let it?
End of July. Once we get through submittals approved, end of July, we'll be out there. But we need to release the contract for the plumber. July 6th, we need to send the contract out.
Release date is what, I'm sorry?
July 6th, we need to send him a contract. July 13th, we need to have submittals coming our direction so we can go through and review submittals and get started.
That's going to be for the drains and then your lead-ins, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because the actual water closet outlets is going to be behind the walls, and that's going to come down. But you still got to get all that underground for your drains and stuff in.
It's trench drains.
Your trench drains and, yeah.
The boil water separator too, all that.
Right, yeah.
That's going.
Is that in the plumber's scope, or is that in the site? That's in the plumber's scope? Okay.
And right takes over.
Okay.
Do you know where we are, Lori, with KZF as far as what we've paid them?
Totally 69,000 and change, 70,000 and change.
Okay. So we walked in with floor plans and spent $360,000 on this design. That's amazing.
We had a concept drawing that we started with.
Right.
There was, right, yeah,
You're right.
That's
Floor
entirely
plans is
different
not
than
the correct,
what we've
floor
got,
plans is not
so-
the correct. We walked in with bubble drawings that showed conceptually what we were looking for, and we spent $360,000 in design fees, which we know how that compares to our neighbors down the road. I don't think that's something we can be very proud of.
What's the alternative, though? We don't do it, we've spent the 360.
We own the drawings, we go out to bid, we make sure our pricing's good, we build a building that we need, not the building that has everything in it that you want and don't need.
So-
You address storage without doing it at $350 a square foot.
So what's that look like to you?
That looks like storage space in Canal or Groveport that addresses a storage space.
What do you put up there? What does that look like to you up there?
That looks like more of a substation, a couple bays, not a $70,000 or whatever it is dollar library, not a separate workout facility, some space for conference rooms, some space for the men that it needs, but not a station basically the same size as Canal, not 11,400 square feet.
And what's it constructed of?
It's just similar to what we've done in other buildings, steel.
So steel, smaller steel building.
Steel or concrete, whatever. I mean, we can make it look very nice, but not hardy and not...
How big do you think that needs to be?
Well, I know the average fire department is about 8,000 square foot, and I'm certain we could accommodate that. We certainly weren't conservative with our room sizes. We weren't conservative with the spaces. And it doesn't look like we were conservative with this design. I mean, why do you need, if it, and you can sit here and argue, I wasn't around when you guys made the 5-year plan. It just says substation in it. I know a lot of people thought that's what they were getting, but, why do you have to have your own workout facility in that facility when we have 2 already, et cetera? There's plenty of opportunity to make this thing cost effective. And again, it could be that exact building if it wasn't $350 a square foot. And I'm pretty confident you could arrive at ways to building that don't cost that much. I think we've ended up on the high end of pretty much everything here. But again, we didn't do the diligence of allowing another bidder to look at this. When you look at the contractors we selected, and now you factor in these design fees and this construction cost, we only thought we were getting a low bidder. We ended up not. I mean, if you were to take these numbers right now and look at the comparison that we did at the start of this project, it's really not fair to them. That's what I said months ago. Because we're the design fees, the cost, and by the way, you go down the road, to Delhi, and they had a $3 million budget, and their GMP came back at 3.9. So, again, the lowest bidder doesn't always end up having the lowest cost. We started out low, but I don't think we're ending up there.
I was just pointing out that the Delhi station was a year ago or more when they initiated, and they're in a different construction market than we're in. So while I understand that it's very close to and very similar to this design, there are differences that you have to recognize are out there and that are there. As far as the design costs, I don't have the number right at hand. I know our design costs are under Violet's design cost, and I don't know where Columbus was at, but I'm going to suspect they're probably under the most recent design costs that Columbus has had. So our design costs are right down there low if we're on the lower end.
As far as the other bidders, when we started this thing last winter, we came in and proposed on design cost, construction, GCs, a percentage of fee. All the teams proposed on those numbers, so anything below direct cost, all those teams proposed on that. That's what it was evaluated on. The direct cost us up above, us, any of the other, I don't even remember who we were competing against, anybody would have gone out and get direct cost. We would have been doing the same thing, you'd have been there with a different contractor. But those design pieces were all figured into that calculation back during those presentations. The direct cost, we've gone out to, and you saw the list of 18, 20 different contractors we went out to. We went out to all the guys that were on the list that we added at the end, and we're still getting the similar feedback of the market's busy, I'm not interested in it, or here's the numbers that we have.
Right. And they were the lowest design cost presented of the folks when we did that, and we went through those. Their package was the lowest price package.
Right. But we didn't maintain that.
I'm not remembering who else.
But then we allowed them to charge change orders, and we didn't maintain that. And again, as these things change, so do all the costs. So, and I don't know, you don't know, it's not like they're all going out and getting the same bidder, so you don't know without comparing what you're getting. That's the truth. We will never know. You can say they've all got the same bidders, but I wouldn't expect that to be true, and we certainly will never know that. And we don't know what we would have been shown by way of options as we went through the design process, so.
You'll never get me to say they all have the same bidders. I completely understand, and I recognize that certain companies have certain folks that they like to work with, and otherwise they're not interested in doing the work, and that's just the way it is with some of the subs. So there's certain things that they like to do and projects that they don't like to get involved with.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Tori.
If we approve this and we approve the list of subcontractors, and somebody that wasn't approved tonight comes back
Lower.
for flooring or whatever later, still time to change, we can change that?
What's the process? Absolutely. If something comes back lower, I'm going to come to the chief and I'm going to say, hey, here's the two options of what we have. Here's the one that's approved, here's the one that's lower. I need to understand the process. Do we have another special meeting, come in and approve that one that's lower? I will present all the information that we have if we have the opportunity to get that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mick? Sir? Oh, yeah.
I don't have any questions.
John, do you have more questions, sir?
Nope, I've said my piece.
Susan? You have anything? Bob?
No, I'm just looking to see if there's an answer on one of these documents to Brad's comment there.
I did,
What, on Lori's? Or what?
Yeah, on Lori's question and Brad's comment of what would that process be?
Okay.
well, by way of the contract, we're locking in, unless we want to specify a contractor on the subcontractor list that we're not approving, we're locking ourselves into the list of subcontractors. Now, that's not saying that Turner can't be good to us and offer us another opportunity if they see it, but we're locking ourselves into the list of subcontractors that's being presented. I assume that there is a list of subcontractors that this resolution would be referring to. The other thing that I didn't mention was, when I first saw the contract and I spent a lot of time reviewing it, I felt that it was pretty one-sided, and immediately after that last meeting, I asked our attorneys to explain to me where it came from, and they assured me that it came from them, and I asked for the backup documentation to see how they created that, because I want to make sure that we're driving the process and it's not coming from the other side, because that's what it looked like. And to this date, never got an answer from Bricker and Eckler, and I think that's very wrong, and I think we should know that our interests were protected in this contract, and I don't know that it is.
Bob, is it?
Yeah, I believe it is. I can't answer for why they have not provided you the documentation that you asked for. I'm not Bricker and Eckler. I can't speak for them. What I can tell you is the 520, the 530, and the 535 documents are the documents that we got that were downloaded from Design Build Institute, and they are the basic format for those agreements, and they were sent to Bricker and Eckler to be modified to meet our needs and what we wanted to do. So
I did. They're heavily modified, because I actually compared the original design build contracts to the modified, and they're heavily modified. But some of the language in there definitely, in my opinion, sets us up for change orders for delay. So
I do know that they were working on some stuff that was in our interest. I do know that Brad and Sylvia went round over indemnification.
Right.
Yeah. As well as some other things that I wanted plugged into place. So.
Well, if you can turn around a contract in that amount of time, I sure wish you could turn around answers. And I'm not pointing that at you, Chief, obviously, but for our council, it's very frustrating. To me, it seemed like those answers should have been fairly, if you'd worked on a contract diligently, the answers should be pretty fluid, and they weren't. They have not been, so.
Question? Gary?
Are we opening this up for public comment?
Not at a special meeting. There's no public comment.
What's the decision report? You allow discussions in the past of special meetings. Commissioner, don't want to hear what I have to say?
We have a regular meeting coming up in 2 weeks, or next week, and next week, and
Well, Gary, it's not on for public input, so Could you hold it, please? I mean,
Yeah, I understand, but I think taxpayers' money, he's talking about taxpayers and cost of everything. I think the taxpayers.
well, we haven't made a decision yet, Gary. That's what this meeting was for. So, don't mean to embarrass you or make you angry, but we don't have public input right now, and we're gonna make a decision.
If the board's report will take this year's thank you.
Well, I thank you too, sir. Okay, Victor and John need to make a decision. You want him to read them first, Susan, and then get a decision, or you want to pick one of the three?
We
are we
either need
talking
to
about?
accept
Yeah, right
it,
here.
or you need to
Just read it.
decline it.
And then if you accept it, you do the second one.
This, how does it change the resolution if it's 3.5 and not 3.8? Because we're going to reference documents that say 3.8.
Well, we're referencing the documents with the GMP amount, which is exactly what the amount that's listed in this. We could change the resolution if you want to reference a different amount, that something to the effect of, based off the revised GMP dated June 27th, listing the 3.8 number.
Total construction
less-
estimate less design
Less
fees.
the 291 equals the 3.5, if you want to do that. The bottom line is, if this is the document that has
Yeah,
the
the contract
3.8
states
listed, and
that,
that's,
so-
we can clarify it.
Right, but just the GMP amount is not the, yeah. Brad rolled that together as a total cost, but the GMP is actually 3.547527, according to Mr. Piney's math, which we all trust. So,
That's good, Chief.
so then it would be what you said, total construction estimate, less design fees.
Is that the way you want it to read?
Yeah.
So you are adding, after the not to exceed,
Less the design
3.8 less the design?
That's what should be good.
So less the design fee of the 291,067?
For the extended resolution, yeah. Anything else?
Is that,
No, just,
I want to make sure. is
we
that
need
what
Brad to
you-
work with us to, if there is something comes
Make sure
in
that
cheaper,
that's how
as
it reads.
John
He's
would
gonna
say,
read it
if
before.
we authorize this, I mean, without help, we're stuck with the sub. I mean, you know, that's,
I've been stuck around this long.
To clarify,
Just need to make sure, for a
If-
total of,
if you look at the 530 document on page 7, section 6.2, has your guaranteed maximum price, but then 62.1.1 goes on to spell out what the design services fees are.
Right, but the
And
thing
that's
is,
where you got to
that's
take it apart.
when I went through, you got to look at all three together, because that was one of my complaints to Sylvia, was the two contracts contradicted each other. One said it would include it, and one said it wouldn't. So that was one of my complaints that we never got passed. So, when I reviewed them, one said it would reference it, the other said it wouldn't, but
I did this one.
But we know that 520 is a separate agreement, and we know that it's already paid for, so we can't, we're not going to pay for it twice.
Right.
I move to authorize the administrator to sign the Design Build 530 agreement, which includes document 535 and payment and performance bond documents based off the revised GMP dated June 27, 2017, not to exceed $3,838,594, less the design fee of $291,067 per the extended resolution.
Do you have a second? Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Heine?
Yes.
Who seconded?
He did.
Who seconded?
You need to second that, sir.
Who seconded?
I thought he did.
Oh, I didn't hear anything.
No, you need to.
Okay, second. You need to call the roll again, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Sorry.
Trustee Heine?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
I move to accept the list of subcontractors as recommended by Turner on document dated June 27, 2017 for a total project cost of $3,838,594, less the design fee of $291,067 per the extended resolution in Exhibit C.
You have a second? I'll second it. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Heine?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
No.
I move to adjourn the meeting at 6:51 as there is no further business.
You missed one, maybe? Or no?
Nope.
No. Move to close the contract, or no?
Nope.
That's only if you were declining it.
Yeah.
520, I'm sorry, design build is 530. 520, isn't that the design contract that we're closing out, or no? Am I
The
confused?
choices were,
Okay.
that's listed on there, and if you did, we're not going to go with the contract, so you had your language.
Okay.
So if they chose not to do the contract with
Oh,
Turner,
gotcha,
we were going
thank
to
you.
close the contract.
Thank you, right, gotcha. I thought we were closing that out with final payment, I misunderstood. Thank you.
Go ahead and do it again.
I still move to adjourn at 6:51 as there is no further business.
Got a second? Discussion? Call the roll.
Trustee Dildine?
Yes.
Trustee Heine?
Yes.
Trustee Kirschner?
Yes.